All right, final blessings. We are back with another video. All right, before we begin, some announcements. Again, first and foremost, the most current thing on the agenda of importance at the moment is the Black Magic Essentials one-on-one seminar/workshop that will be taking place Saturday, August 24th from noon to 4 p.m. It'll be live on Zoom. It'll be a virtual workshop / seminar, the Black Magic Essentials 101. Real simple on how to sign up for it. You just send your payment via PayPal, which is my email address, khnum19@gmail.com, or you can send a Cashapp to make a payment, which is capital BANITI9. That's capital BANITI9 with $ in front of the B. The cost for the workshop seminar is $56. And when you send your payment, just include in the payment in the notes section, just list your contact email address and also list, put your name there. So I know your name and your email, and you will receive the link the week of or a day or two before the actual seminar. All right, that's how you sign up for the Black Magic Essentials 101, which will be done on Zoom. You'll get the Zoom link, and then you can participate live. That'll be Saturday, August 24th, noon to 4 p.m. All right, if you're interested in the spiritual reading, I offer various different types of readings: Clepothic demonic readings, Santa Muerte readings, Egyptian oracle readings, deity readings, to see what gods, goddesses, demons, and spirits walk with you. Shadow work readings, which is always a great reading to do, period, because shadow work is something that is ongoing and continual. But if you're looking for a direction, what's currently going on in your life, shadow work readings are really good for that, because people are always asking, what direction should I be going in, or I'm a little confused. I don't know what kind of ritual work I should be doing right now. Shadow work is a great tool, to utilize for that purpose and many other purposes, right? Or maybe you're just interested in a spiritual consultation, which is just that. It's not a divination session. It's not a reading. It's to use it as a session for a full consultation on anything you want to talk about or discuss. As I said, a lot of people use it as a question and answer session. They come with a long list of questions that they want to ask me about the left-hand path of the occult. Some people utilize it to focus on a specific area of the path. Some people got something going on in their life. They want to do a consultation on that. But you can use it for any of the aforementioned. So if you're interested in a reading or a consultation, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. That's khnum19@gmail.com. Please include in your email your full weekly availability, along with the time zone that you live in, and I will find a time and day that works for me and for you. Also, the 7th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, that'll be taking place October 31st. It's crazy, we're in August, we're already talking about October, nuts. It'll be taking place from October 31st to November 3rd. October 31st, Halloween night, kicks it off with a meet and greet Halloween gathering. And then on Friday and Saturday, the 1st and the 2nd, classes and workshops from 9 to 4 p.m. On Friday and Saturday evening, we come back in the evening. We do a group ritual on both nights, followed by a group dinner. All right. Sunday, question and answer session with yours truly from noon to 4 p.m. on anything on the occult left-hand path, or anything that may have transpired over the weekend from the conference. You can attend the conference either live and in person, or you can attend it virtually. Okay. So you can shoot me an email, and you can include in that email what you're inquiring about, virtually or live in person. Virtually, you just don't get access to the rituals, because I don't record. Any year I've done the conference, I don't record the rituals like I do on Patreon. It's just too much going on. It's a busy week, and it's just too much work. And I try to keep those rituals kind of very personalized. And it's an experience that you always keep with you here. But you get access to all the classes and the workshops and everything else in the conference when you attend virtually. All right. Also, if you want to sign up for classes, the best way to sign up for classes is go to the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page located at patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, tier 3. That's the tier you want to join. That's going to give you access to all of the classes, the 3 classes I do every month on Patreon for Patreon members only, including the group ritual we do together at the end of the month. It doesn't just give you access to the classes from the day you join moving forward. You also get access to everything in the archives, going back almost 5+ years, okay? If you want to see what type of classes I'm doing right now, ongoing classes, where constant new content is being added to these classes on a regular basis, go to the patreon.com/Baniti Patreon page, hit the collection section, and you will see all the ongoing classes. It's a simple format. When you become a member, you have access to the post, which contains the class link. You can come in, you can attend live if you're able to, if it works for your schedule. You get to interact with me and everybody else in the class. If you can't attend live, everything is archived and recorded, and you can do the classes also at your leisure and your convenience. All right? So if you want to take your path of self-mastery to the next level, you're looking to put in that work, you want to take it up a notch, you don't want to just sit on the sidelines no more, you want to get in the game, as they say, and do the work and not just be a spectator, well, check it out. Patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Don't forget to check out all the social media pages. Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram. Primordial Chaos 2 words on Facebook. Primordial Chaos 3 on TikTok. Support those platforms. That's the best way to stay updated on everything that I'm doing. I keep everything posted there, how to sign up for classes, announcements, and the latest happenings. And last but not least, don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. The direct link to the podcast, the direct link to the Patreon page for classes, the social media pages, my contact email address, all that's in the description box of this video you're watching right now. Let's talk about real quick the dragon and the serpent energy, okay? Which they're connected. The dragon and the serpent energy, especially when you're working, I mean, it's popular, or it's a common practice, I should say, across the board in many different occult systems. Strong connections with the Kundalini energy, but very worked with concept in draconian magic. If you practice draconian magic and you work with the draconian gods and goddesses, you know working with the dragon and the serpent energy is a very powerful spiritual practice. Now, it definitely is a strong connection there with the raising of the Kundalini energy. You'll find such practices as the dragon meditation. You'll find practices where you're raising, the serpent energy as a coiled serpent from the base of your spine near your root chakra and raising it up all the way through the crown, which serves a bunch of different purposes. Some people can use that practice working with the serpent and the Kundalini energy as a spiritual cleansing, a spiritual, for lack of a better word, charging. And Kundalini is a serious awakening on a multitude of levels. Now, one thing I've talked about before, I want to make this clear. Not all Kundalini and the raising of it is pleasant. And people keep forgetting that. People think, I'm just saying, not all, but some people think that Kundalini energy is always this powerful, positive experience, and it's not. It can be very painful. Because sometimes when you got things off, your chakra systems may be off, you may be dealing with certain internal and spiritual issues, certain blockages. So sometimes when you're raising that serpent energy or Kundalini energy up, when it hits those problematic areas within, it can cause some deep-rooted pain, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And yes, people always ask, is there some physical after effects or residue from doing that type of ritual work? Well, I can tell you, not just specifically Kundalini or serpent energy, dragon energy type of work. Sometimes there's your answer for the reason why some people will say, well, I did some really intense work with a specific demon or spirit, And I just afterwards felt so drained, or people will describe having serious headaches or migraines, or some feel physically sick or ill. Now, I've addressed this before because this comes up a lot. Is that normal for stuff like that to happen? And the answer is yes. Is it normal for it to happen all the time and consistently? No. Is it normal for it to happen periodically? Is it normal for it to happen in the beginning? Yes, that's a very normal thing when it happens periodically. Okay? Because what happens is, as you absorb a lot of the spiritual energy when you're doing this type of work, whether you're working with the clip hop, you're working with the dragon and the serpent energy, or you're working any dark magical system like necromancy, witchcraft, and you're working with dark entities or spirits that deal with the power of the void and the abyss, and most of those, and even in the draconian system, all the draconian gods and goddesses contain an enormous amount of spiritual energy. So when you're working with them, know there's always an exchange going on. You're exchanging energies with these spirits and demons. So it's going to affect you on a multitude of ways, right? We're just focusing maybe on the physical effects right now, because there's a lot of great interaction and exchange with those energies that does wonderful things for your psyche, for your subconscious mind, and how it spiritually aligns you and gets you in tune with the real true self. But sometimes you could take an influx of that energy, and the body sometimes really goes through hard, rigorous work to assimilate that energy, and it can leave some after effects or residue, migraine headaches, or just not physically feeling well, ill. Some even describe feeling nauseous, or that type of when you feel sick feeling. Here's a crazy thing. I think I mentioned this before to you guys in the past. Sometimes people get the shits. I know that may sound crazy, because you got to understand your central nervous system, your immune system, the endocrine system, all of those things are connected on certain levels to your spirituality. And you need to be educated on that, to at least to a certain degree, to understand how all that takes place. So there can be the physical, obviously the spiritual, emotional, effects of that type of work. But yes, there can be physical effects that you tap into when you're doing this work. Now, again, I want to back up to something I was saying just a couple of minutes ago. It's not normal for it to happen all the time, because I always get this question. There could be some serious things you need to look into if it's happening every time. There's something going on internally. It shouldn't happen every time. Now, I've dealt with people over the years that they have serious issues with that. It does happen all the time. And there's a lot of work that has to be indulged in there to get that, to get that energy harmonized, because it's a problem. But if you're in the other situation, if this just happens periodically, here and there, doesn't happen all the time, this, that, or the other, it's fine. That's very normal. And you might say, well, why is it still happening to me if I'm a seasoned practitioner? Well, it happens to me occasionally, once in a blue moon. So you don't realize your body is going through constant different changes. So sometimes at that moment, maybe you did some ritual work where there was a lot of things going on in your life. There might have been a certain level of stress there that you're not really fully aware of how it's impacting you. So it could be, if you're a seasoned practitioner, and out of the blue this happens, ask yourself, at the time it's happening, is there a lot going on in my life right now? Am I very busy? There's a lot of activity going on in my life and around me. All those things play a part. So it doesn't matter if you're a seasoned practitioner. Doesn't matter if you are a beginner. For that to happen occasionally here and there is a very normal thing. Okay? So erase that from your head. It doesn't matter. The more bigger concern is if it's happening all the time. Then I think you need to look into that, probe it, and see what work can be done to harmonize that out. Okay? Now, there's also a connection to the Kundalini and the serpent energy when connecting with Leviathan, right? Because Leviathan's connected to that great serpent or beast or dragon of the water or the oceans. Leviathan's mentioned in the Bible. It's mentioned in the book of Job. Who dares to step up against Leviathan, right? And there's even a quote in there, because it's mentioned a couple times in Job. There's even a quote in there that where not even God himself dares to rise up when you read about the story of Leviathan to show the great magnitude of it. Now, let me dispel some of the myths. So, in Christianity and monotheistic religions, Leviathan is presented as some evil spirit force because it's misinterpreted and misunderstood. What Leviathan really represents is the deep recesses of the void and the abyss, the origins of that primordial chaotic energies. It also represents the dark, chaotic, watery abyss, or the chaotic waters, for an example, when you look at cultures like Egypt, the chaotic waters of Nun. There's a Leviathan connection too when you read the very first chapter of the Bible, because it says the biblical God's spirit roamed across the waters of the void and the deep. So that dark, watery abyss, or the abyss itself, and the void, is always represented there as a powerful spiritual force. That great void and abyss transitions into your clipothic work, because when you enter the void, you're entering a realm of existence that is not ruled or governed by any parameters. It doesn't have any beginning or end. It's unbridled chaos in its most purest form. This is why you hear the word, when relating to primordial chaos, right, which again obviously is the influence why I call the channel Primordial Chaos. As I said, the word primordial has root in the English word prime. When something is prime, it's the original. It's the best. It's the cream of the crop. It's top quality. Prime rib. Prime steak. I say this all the time. So you're talking about the best of the best. And Leviathan is where one, if they need a starting point when it comes to origin, not a beginning, a starting point or a focal point, because when one is tapped in and doing ritual work and is able to vibrate beyond the three-dimension or third realm or three-dimensional existence, they now enter a spiritual porthole or gateway that is not confined to any restrictions or parameters. Okay? Now, as I've told you guys before, to understand Kundalini energy, the serpent, the power of the dragon, Leviathan, all of those things, one has to have that ability to think outside of the box of person, place, or thing. All is mental. Mental is all. The universe is mental. That is a powerful, as much as it's repeated on all over the place in books and platforms over the many years, it's probably one of the most powerful things to absorb. It confirms when I say that the spiritual journey or the path of self-mastery that you take is an inward journey out, not an outward journey in. All is mental. Mental is all. The universe is mental. Okay? Which is telling you and dictating to your subconscious mind, again, the answers that you're looking for reside within. Because if the universe is mental and all is mental, okay, you should be able to have the ability, when you fully understand that, to tap into the power of your subconscious mind. And you should have that ability to travel wherever you want to go, astrally. You should be able to connect on any level when you have that ability or that greater understanding beyond three-dimensional or the mundane. Okay? So, again, we always get back, and it always seems like it points and shifts back to the point to really open that doorway, that gateway or that porthole to a greater understanding. You have to get yourself, or give yourself, the ability to vibrate beyond the three-dimensional existence. Okay? So the Kundalini or the serpent energy, right? It also contains a lot of the elements, whether we're talking water, fire, air, earth. Okay? All of the elements are critical in understanding how this works and how it's at play, because the elements activate, in certain sciences, activate the chakra systems in order to get things functioning correctly. Now, look, I've seen over the years some people, there's a new theory that I saw surface a couple years ago, which technically it's still kind of new. There are people out there now, saying that there's no such thing as chakras. It doesn't exist. Now, this is where you always hear me talk about there's always going to come a point on this path where not everything is going to be able to be validated by a book or a source or a teacher or elder or this, that, or the third. Experience is going to be the best teacher in that. And some things, yes, as I've said before, don't believe anything because whether I say it or somebody else, you should never accept anything until you can confirm it for self. But then you got people that kind of constantly find excuses why not to look into something deeper, and it's just easy to blow it off and say, oh, there's no source. Well, I'm going to tell you, when you work with this path, okay, you will open some serious doors of intensity in working with this concept, okay? Raising that Kundalini energy. And it's not, again, something to be taken lightly because of the various different things and experiences you're going to go through when you're really working with it, right? Yes, I know this, people say, well, I work with Kundalini and Tantra. And yes, I mean, sex magic, sex energy is connected to a lot of this, but there's a video I did a while back, Understanding Your Sacred Sexual Spirituality. People don't understand that. And there's a connection with that also in the Kundalini, the Serpent, and the Dragon energy. Okay? So you can find its roots in many different systems. You can find its connection there. And the crazy thing is, as I said in the beginning of the video, working with the dragon and the serpent energy is something you will see across the board in many different occult left-hand path systems. But it all has its root in unbridled chaos. Okay? And when you go back to chaos in its purest form, or the primordial form of chaos, you've got the most rawest power in existence. And that ties into Leviathan, which is the principle of continuity and existence. Okay, there's that continuity. We know what continuity is. It's that continuous flow, right? You must maintain continuity also in your ritual work. Okay? All of this is connected. Excuse me. Now, I also did a video a while back, a couple of years ago, when the first Aquaman movie came out. And I'll leave you guys with this. A couple bullet points from that. If you didn't see that video, you got to go back in the archives a few years, back in like 2019, whenever that came out. I think it was 2019, 2018, I'm not sure. And the Aquaman movie basically told your story, your journey on this path. Literally. The brief summarization is, Aquaman is struggling with differentiating between his human mortality and his godlike nature. He finds out he is the child of a mortal and a god. And he has a woman teacher, as you see, that guides him through the movie. And it's the challenges and the obstacles of not letting your mortality or your lower mundane weaker self rule you. Okay? And there's strong connections there to Leviathan. There's strong connections to Lovecraft and the Call to Cthulhu, right? All that stuff, there's strong connections to that stuff there in the movie. They literally show the Lovecraft book in the movie in one of the earliest scenes. Now, also keep in mind, it takes place in the New England area where Lovecraft was from. And in one of the early scenes where Aquaman is talking to his father on a pier, they pan in real quick and they take a quick shot of the Lovecraft call. You see the Call to Cthulhu. But this is not a coincidence, right? So the movie really, in essence, in short form, go watch it for yourself and go seek out that video I did a couple years ago if you didn't see it. because I get a little more deep in depth. It's a pretty decent lengthwise video where I break down Leviathan, the connection to Aquaman, our journey on this path, the whole nine. But the whole movie is about how Aquaman is trying to make order out of his chaos with the various different challenges and obstacles he goes through. And he finally comes to the realization that he is a god in the flesh, which he was struggling to accept. And there's a powerful imagery is so important, especially when they're making movies, because they can convey a multitude of messages by a specific scene, a certain image that they throw across the screen. Because remember, there's an X amount of frames that when you're watching a movie now with the technology I forgot, it's a crazy amount of images that they can stamp in your subconscious mind, knowingly and unknowingly. I forgot how many they can flash across the screen. I mean, it's just insane. But you see towards the end of the movie that you see Aquaman emerging from the deep waters, coming to the surface, and he's riding the beast of Leviathan. And he's got the staff in his hand. You know, he's got the trident, like Poseidon, and he's holding it in an authoritative manner, and he's riding the beast of Leviathan, which represents, now he had now reached the point where he had made order out of his chaos. He has raised himself up to the realization now of who he is, not who he thought he was and who people told him he was. Okay? That's in essence what working with Kundalini and Serpent energy is to get you to the realization of who you really are, to understand the real you, to understand the godlike potential that exists within you, and how you've been seriously suppressing it with your mortality. Okay? So I want to leave it there. I just thought it'd be good to finish with the little Aquaman piece. If you're interested in seeing that video, go back in the archives, check it out. I believe it's a couple hours, that video. I mean, I remember after seeing the movie, I was so amped up because there was so many occult hidden meanings in that movie. I believe it or not, I have it in my box right now. I still haven't seen part 2. It's been out for quite a bit now. I believe like maybe a year, maybe it could be less. I'm not sure. So one of my goals is to get around. Hopefully this weekend I might have some time, maybe even tonight that it comes up. I might try to watch that later this evening. I still have not been able to see the second part, but I will. But just like that same concept, that's your goal, to make order out of your personal chaos. Kundalini energy helps you understand that. It's not always pleasant. It's not always easy. But neither is this path, people. All right? Other than that, I'm going to leave it there. That's going to do it. Hopefully this short tutorial helped you out. Again, if you need to reach out to me for a spiritual reading, a consultation, if you want to sign up for classes, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page, my contact email address, the social media pages, all of those links for classes, readings, to contact me about the conference, if you want to sign up for the Black Magic Essentials 101, etc., all that information is in the description box of this video that you're watching right now. That's going to do it for me. I'm out of here. We'll talk soon. Infernal blessings.